Hello everyone, thank you very much for coming and spending your lunchtime to learn about Microsoft and AI. Make sure my level is not too high. I want to call everybody in the room here. How many of you folks heard, use, or use artificial intelligence or understand what it basically represents? How many of you guys use it today in today's world in your business? Perfect. I'll give you an idea of what Microsoft rendition on AI is. And first of all, it's not a marketing construct. We actually use a combination of various tools and techniques, services and bots to create our AI solution, and we're going towards a total platform. So I'll present you from that standpoint. We don't have a lot of time. Usually I like to do tricks with the folks, get them standing, get them moving around, but I'm gonna skip those for today. Three things that have happened in the past 15 years that really have enabled the ability to transform, especially using AI and technologies. Number one, big data. Powerful algorithms have been coming very heavily in the compute power to do it, as well as a cloud computer that enables you to do large calculations, distribute them across large workloads in a cloud, thousands of machines looking at very complex algorithms that enable you to resolve for some ideas. I'm gonna say something that from Microsoft's standpoint is gonna be a little polemic, but here's what I call, when we talk about data, data by itself, when it's standing in your machines, line of business systems, your mainframes, doesn't do anything. I don't call it worthless because it's not. You run your business, you operate in there. And in case it gets lost or somebody attaches it, like we saw with some credit reporting agencies in the US a few weeks back, it causes a lot of problems and start costing the business. Insights on that data are worth pennies. For companies, for business, for government. Knowing what the data informs, the insights that you can gather from that information are worth pennies. But the actions you take on the data, if you have a data that somebody's not buying a product, something's not working in the marketplace, you take an action, that's where the dollars are. That's where the benefits of advanced analytics and AI technology come in there. Usually I go into a little bit of semantics, explaining what statistics, machine learning, deep learning, AI, advanced analytics, and AI basically represent. We don't have the time to go in depth to just show those, but they're all parts in one group within the group of AI. So you do need to have statistical understanding of things, how they happen from the data that you have to see the possibilities and probabilities. You do have to have the ability to do deep learning to see how things are interacting with the data, and not one replaces the other, but a combined set of services and tools that give you the possibility to bring the AI tools together. Two things that happen very much on the traditional spectrum of the world. We use the technology and we use the services, tools, applications to get things done. The whole concept behind AI is, and I got to put a big emphasis on this, permission-based. You have grant permission, you provide access for machines to listen to you. You have that conversation as a platform. We have devices pretty much across every single technology industry. Who here uses Alexa from Amazon to buy things? You put it on there. That's a listening device. That's a device that's your home. It's a gateway for what we call the conversation as a platform. It's constantly listening for cues, for something to enable you to do something. It helps you answer questions. Where's my next schedule? How things work for a particular standpoint. So the ability to use technology to help us be more, the technology learn about us. How many of you use Cortana, Siri, or Alexa for your digital assistant? Few of us, more and more people are beginning to use. Some folks rely on it a lot more than we do. That conversation as a platform, that assistant helps people gather access information when you're driving or in somewhere that you do not want to take attention off of a task that you're doing, and you get the next step taken for the next one. And last but not least, the ability to observe and anticipate the likely type of behavior what you're about to do. Okay, if you're fidgeting, you're getting up, you're about to move to go at something else. You look at a presentation, you look at a scenario, some of the cognitive APIs, the vision APIs, give you an idea about the mood, the scenario, and how people are reacting to that particular presentation. Those are things we can train machines and computers to learn and understand. We divide the Microsoft AI, and that's a Microsoft classification, in 4 different areas. The agent, that's your Cortana for us, is the Cortana AI. The application layer, services, and then the whole behind the scenes with infrastructure. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on those. Oh, it doesn't resolve well on this screen. Everything begins, how many of you guys use big data storage, Hadoop, Spark? we have to use for big data stores. The ability to analyze the data in the big data stores is very important. Understanding what you have, where it's at, and how to bring information out there. A lot of folks start talking about a data lake, putting all the data of all types, content, structured, non-structured, into a data lake. Most businesses, most companies and customers that come back to me, they come back and say, hey, everything is in this data lake, but it doesn't feel like a data lake. It feels more like a data swamp, because everybody just throws things in there and they hope to try to get information out of there once information is all thrown and they have this disorganized. So it's important to have the ability to analyze, use advanced analytics techniques to be able to understand what the data represents and what it is. The old axiom, still with AI, still garbage in and garbage out. You must be able to have trust in the ability to filter and clean your data to be able to have good AI on information, on training. The second learning is the deep learning ability, the deep learning toolkit and a cognitive toolkit. Those are APIs which are designed specifically to enable you to connect vision, text, learning, information knowledge, sentiment analysis, language translation, motion translation, video translations to the data sets that you currently have. And they're done through an API method. We keep the APIs on our Azure platform. In the cloud, you connect whatever data set in there or create a new application, and you can enable those APIs to function with your existing data sets. There are cognitive, there are deep learning algorithms, there are methods that you can use for on-prem. If you choose not to go to the cloud, there are methods with machine learning server, machine learning language, and Azure machine learning. The Azure machine learning is the stuff that's on our cloud. We do have ability and work tools that work on-prem without never having to connect to the cloud, but those products are available and work today. SQL Server 2017, which was just launched yesterday, has AI built in. You have R, Python, and machine learning algorithms, deep learning GPU-based for processing that can run 100% on-prem to do deep learning neural networks, facial analysis, and auto recognition, a lot of those elements. The third part is the data science tools. How many of you folks have a data science on staff or real data science? It's very rare. And what kind of problems that, data science is always looking for a problem vector to answer a question. So they're beginning to use data science tools, languages, R, Python, combination of Julia, some of the more advanced languages, to start resolving those problems. They understand what the data is about. They understand what the solution, what the problem question is, and they take those advanced languages and tools and platforms. Now, remember, at the onset of the conversation today, we talked about data by itself not having anything. Once you get the visualization, the BI, and the advanced analytics tools, you're able now to make predictions on the data that you have. Customers that bought this type of things are likely to buy this. Folks that took this particular type of offer are likely to take this offer. Folks that walk this way or buy this particular are likely to buy A, B, and C. Those are predictive models. And then a data scientist, by its very nature, by using the tools that they have, they're going to test the hypothesis. Sometimes people that come to Ignite do not necessarily go to other Microsoft events because they're interested in knowing some things. So it's a very interesting approach to have to validate the data and how you interact and to make the data to predictions. And last but not least, where the data science tools, once you have a question, a problem, a thesis that you're trying to resolve, you start validating it and you connect it to cognitive services and what we call the bot framework. Cognitive services and APIs, a whole list, I'll go into some details of what the services which are available today. The bot framework enables you to connect your applications, your solutions to different bots that perform tasks, specific tasks. But those tasks are used and contextual to your business and to your application of your data. One good example of the bot framework that anybody can use today, how many of you guys have a website? Does it have an FAQ, frequently asked questions, part in it? You can take that existing information and use what we call the Q&A bot. It's available from the Microsoft website. Use the existing FAQs that you have on your website or in a Word doc, and you're able to create a bot, put it out there, and show how the training process is for the FAQs. And then the bot will start learning as people start asking questions from the FAQ. If the answer is not there, it's going to be prioritized, and as a developer, you're going to receive a message explaining, okay, people are asking about this, and we have no information on that, they're getting upset. Whatever type of business you are, whether you're manufacturing, retail, pharmaceutical, health, or government, people are going to interact with information, and they want information fast. How many of us get frustrated? I get frustrated when I call somebody's telephone to call for a service or something and you get put into the infinite loop of voicemails to make a selection, never addressing the problems. Well, we have bots that listen to the tone of my voice, tone of your voice, of your customers, and get you directed to an agent or something like this to escalate the problem or try to get you the resolution sooner than get you to the frustration level. And last but not least is what we call the solutions. And solutions are based on some of our vendors, our partners, ISVs and vendors that create solutions that match up pretty much all those different things. We have fraud detection solutions, predictive analytics solutions, sentiment analysis solutions that vendors will come into the marketplace and provide to customers that they can use based on the entire framework. Some of our clients have realized that they have resolved a big problem in industry for their own, and they basically created solutions that they now sell and license to even to some of their competitors because they resolve such a big challenge in industry. Some of our data scientists, some of our AI researchers have taken some of those methods and they share across the wide community so that the community can develop and enhance it to the next level. Not going to go into much detail because 20 minutes is not a long time. Most folks who has Windows 10 have used Cortana, the interaction with some of the applications. Cortana is our agent, and I'll tell you a personal story on that. When I first came out with Cortana, I said, okay, I played a lot of Halo. Are we actually doing a little bot and coming out? And so the idea was from the Halo group to put it inside and create an agent, an intelligent agent that plugged into some of our API tools and render within the operating system to enable folks to assist and work. And it will work across a multitude of devices. 2 weeks ago, we announced that we made a partnership with Amazon. So Cortana and Alexa can work together to enable the interaction of the cell, the ability for you to buy, consume something, and interact with your schedule, your business within the Microsoft application environment. Very transformational in that sense, and they have interesting conversations how to get that information. But again, our notion of AI is permission-based. You provide us with the right and the use of that information to help classify how you interact with information. Something else that's also important to talk about when we talk about Microsoft AI, we respect your right to privacy. So the information we gather on your Cortana notebook as the agent, it's yours. It's encrypted, it's under your name. We do not gather information whether you use a specific tool, function, or something like this. We get an understanding of the service of the AI or the API of the interface. If something breaks, we just want to know what it breaks, but we don't know how the individual is using the tool. So we can customize the interface and develop from that one. Second one is we pretty much took the applications, the deep learning, the algorithms that we have for AI, and we put across our Office 365 Dynamics, the entire tool set of products for productivity and dynamics. If you use Teams, anybody who has used Delve Analytics or My Analytics, it's the ability for you to look and set yourself some priorities for during the week, how many meetings you want to have, how many phone calls you're going to have. And as a background administrator for Office 365, you can set up priorities and some of the different things. When I put that out there at Microsoft in our internal groups on the inside, folks, hey, that's our management going to be looking how much time you spend in your meetings and personal. That's not the idea of it. It's a tool to help you understand how your productivity functions, how much time you spend in meetings, emails, and production, how much focus time you have to actually get things done. It also tells me how much time I spend after work answering emails. And an interesting thing, how many times during meetings I'm answering emails, which means may not be paying attention to focus on that one, as well as who am I responding to and sending information to. And the second ones we have are Teams. You probably saw a lot of it on demo yesterday with the HoloLens and the collaboration platform where folks are working together and the whole AI says, hey, who is this person? Do they have the right to be here? Do they have access to this level of information? A lot of things that the traditional IT development infrastructure would have to do are now facilitated by AI because they know who's the rights, permissions, and members of which groups and level of access. The last one is Microsoft, from when we talk about REST APIs and Microsoft Graphs technology. The ability to understand the relationship between individuals, data that they access, documents, and workflow information to provide you with more effective dynamics. We use the graph concept in our database. We call it Azure Cosmos DB, that enables you to connect to different data sources across different locations, whether they are on-prem, on the cloud, or across different ones, and provide you a graph interface of the interconnected relationships between the data and the metadata from it. Results, and in terms of usable applications, are the focused inbox. If you have a business task, you have a business meeting or specific folks, it gathers that information and provides you a focused inbox. So those things which you prioritize by your constant use are now prioritized and used in a focus area so you can give them high attention. Your other email is not lost, but it's placed on a secondary level, which is the non-focused email or traditional. And again, you have the choice to turn it off, to go back to the traditional, whether you don't like the way that functions. That's the My Analytics function. Use of bots. Have you guys seen the use of bots in websites and services where you enter your name information and then the bots respond, try to direct you? Do you guys like it? Do you guys think it's positive or bad? So there's good bots and bad bots. When you train your bots well, your customers are going to like the experience. But you have to spend the time to understand what people are going to interact and how they're going to interact with intelligence. AI does not predict whether people are going to you're going to solve their problem. It's going to give you the likely scenarios of prediction, and then the action has to take place. So good bots mean that somebody took the time to train the models and understand how people are going to interact with information. Bad bots, they just thought the machine will do it all for you. No matter what the technology threshold that we have, AI uses compute power and technology compute to help you make those decisions and bring them to action faster. An example of a background that's in a customer service representation. And I'm going to step for a little bit, I'll talk about the cognitive services. Remember I mentioned them a little earlier. We have vision, speech, language, knowledge, search, and labs. Those are bots which are pre-done. Their code base is already made, and you have the ability to embed those bots into your existing applications. Today, you just go to the bot framework, download the bots, and then insert into your application and get to that situation. You're going to be asked to download a key. That's your unique identifier to make sure that your bot is only connected to your application and that you have access to that information. Again, that key is a crypto hash that enables you to ensure the privacy and security of the application. For folks that want to build and develop their own customized bots to recognize specific functions. So I'll give an example. We have a pop manufacturer that wanted to have, they launched, that was Coca-Cola, and like I said, as a public distribution. Coca-Cola wanted to celebrate 100 years, so they had the traditional 100-year bottle that they had in Atlanta. And they wanted to create a bot for people to upload their pictures showing the bottle, to enter to win a free trip to Atlanta and win special prizes all the 100 year. The most creative use of the bottle, showing the bottle. So they had a bot that was designed, a vision bot that was custom designed to tell you the format, the shape, the design of the bottle, all the characteristics and attributes of the bottle were placed in there. And as people uploaded, then they were judged. Okay, this is an old bottle, this is not the new bottle, this is a can of Coke, or this is a Pepsi, because some people were funny and putting the competing product out there. And those were entered to be judged by somebody to say, okay, this is the best use, and it came from that one. It's a bad rendition of the image in here. All those existing videos, they now have the custom, we now have the ability to work through the SDKs, so you can customize each and every one of those APIs and those bots. So if you need to have a bot that's custom specific for vision, and you need to train to recognize a specific device, and we have examples with one of the companies in Europe, they make packaging. They wanted to understand quality control of the packaging on the way that they folded the device to see most of the defects were in the machinery, folded them and created angles, and there'd be a lot of waste. So they have bots working in the production line, understanding what I prefer as the machine is folding the capsules, that they know when they're working. If there's a problem, they alert somebody at the production line, and they can fix the problem at that time. Each and every one of those bots can resolve the problem and address for that one. We can train it specifically. The bot framework is fairly simple, that it can look at specific tags, and as you train it, you're looking for cans, containers. In this particular scenario, they want to have a camera to identify whether somebody placed beer in the refrigerator for Coca-Cola and some of the devices. And you can control that by putting the attributes of what the device is, this particular shape, bag, format, and people can upload different cameras on that one. I don't have a lot more time. I'm going to respond to the guys. I'm going to open up for a few questions if you have it, and then I'll take the time. Any questions? No questions? Well, thank you very much for spending the time with me during your lunchtime today.